The stasis dreams were always the same. They were not filled with fantastical landscapes or memories of a better past. For Noah Mercer, the cheap government-subsidized sedation loop consisted of spreadsheets. Endless cascading waterfalls of inventory, manifests fuel consumption rates, and ammunition counts. It was the curse of a mind that could not stop seeing patterns, even when chemically suppressed. He was counting crate numbers in his sleep, 4,512 crates of rations missing from the manifest B9 when the universe lurched. It was not the gentle hiss of hydraulic decompression that signaled arrival at a standard commercial station. It was a sensation akin to being dropped from a 10-story building into a pool of warm honey. The gravity shifted, twisted, and then settled into a hum that felt less like a machine and more like a heartbeat. Noah opened his eyes. He expected the sterile chipped gray paint of the SS Iron Mule, the budget transport ship he had boarded 3 days ago. He expected the smell of recycled air, stale sweat, and the faint, metallic tang of despair that clung to everyone fleeing the core systems. He had paid 600 credits for a sleep ticket to the Outer Rim, hoping to wake up far enough away that his name meant nothing. Instead, he was staring at a ceiling that seemed to be breathing. It was a soft, luminescent amber veined with threads of liquid silver that pulsed in a rhythmic, soothing cycle. The air did not smell of recycled desperation. It smelled of ozone, crushed pine needles, and something spicy like cinnamon burnt in a vacuum. Noah sat up, the sheet sliding off his chest. It was not the scratchy synthetic wool of the transport line. It was silk, or something superior to silk, cool to the touch, and shimmering with a faint, iridescent weave. "Okay," Noah said, his voice raspy from disuse. He cleared his throat. "Okay, this is not economy class." He swung his legs over the edge of the bed. The floor was warm. Not heated tile warm, but biologically warm, like standing on the hide of a massive sleeping beast. He looked down at his hands. They were trembling slightly. The last thing he remembered was the injection given by the bored medical technician on the Iron Mule. "Safe travels, Mr. Mercer. Try not to die in your sleep." He stood up, his joints popping. He was wearing a simple tunic and trousers made of a gray, breathable fabric that fit him perfectly. Too perfect. He checked the waistband. No tags. "Computer," he tried, looking around the room. "Lights, maximum." The amber glow intensified, but it did not glare. It simply became more present. There were no light fixtures. The light emanated from the walls themselves, which curved gently, devoid of the harsh, 90-degree angles that defined human architecture. Everything here flowed. The desk in the corner seemed to grow out of the floor. The chair looked like a sculpted petal. Noah walked to the door. There was no handle, no keypad, no manual override wheel. Just a smooth surface of polished obsidian. "Open," he commanded. To his surprise, the door dissolved. It did not slide up or sideways. It simply retracted into the molecular structure of the wall, revealing the corridor beyond. Noah stepped out, and his breath hitched in his throat. The hallway was a masterpiece of biological engineering. It curved away to the left and right, bathed in that same twilight amber. On the walls, moving paintings, living displays shifted with abstract data streams that looked less like code and more like flowing water. But it was not the architecture that froze the blood in his veins. It was the welcoming committee. 6 of them stood in a loose semicircle, effectively blocking his path. They were tall, athletic, and undeniably alien. They wore armor that hugged their forms, plates of crimson and matte black composite that looked flexible, yet impenetrable. Noah stared. He had seen them on news feeds, usually in blurry combat footage, or propaganda posters warning of the Vulpra threat. But seeing them in the flesh was a visceral shock to the system. They were vulpine undeniably. Their ears, long and tufted with white fur, swiveled atop heads covered in short, sleek russet fur. Their eyes were large with vertical slit pupils that glowed a faint predatory gold. And behind them, tails thick, luxurious, and tipped with white, swayed with a mesmerizing hypnotic rhythm. But they stood on two legs. Their hands rested casually on the grips of sleek, energy-based sidearms, holstered at their hips. Noah took a step back, his bare foot gripping the warm floor. His mind, the logistical machine that had ruined his life, instantly began calculating threats. 6 hostiles. Weapons active but holstered. Distance 3 meters. Exit strategy none. The Vulpra in the center stepped forward. She was taller than the others, her armor adorned with intricate silver filigree. A scar ran through the fur on her left cheek, giving her a permanent expression of dangerous amusement. "Noah Mercer," she said. Her voice was a low contralto rolling with a strange accent that elongated the vowels. "Finally, you sleep like a dead rock," Noah blinked. "It is a sedative," he managed to say, his brain struggling to bridge the gap between cheap transport and fox warriors. "It is supposed to keep you under for the jump." "For a human jump, perhaps," the leader said. She tilted her head, her ears twitching forward. "Our engines run a little hotter. You have been out for 200 hours. 200, Noah did the calculation. That was over a week ago. "Where am I? Who are you?" "I am Commander Rhea Solis," she said, tapping a clawed finger against her breastplate. "This is the Crimson Den, and you are currently trespassing in the officers' quarters." Noah looked at the other 5 guards. They were watching him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. It was not just aggression. It was a curiosity. They looked at him the way a scientist might look at a lab rat that had suddenly learned to tap dance. "The Crimson Den," Noah repeated. The name triggered a cascading file search in his memory. He was a logistics officer. He knew ship names. He knew registry numbers. His eyes dropped to the patch on Rhea's shoulder. It was a stylized fox head, snarling, framed by a wreath of burning stars. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. The blood drained from Noah's face, leaving him cold and dizzy. He knew that crest. He had seen it in the high-resolution debriefing files 3 years ago. He had seen it on the hull of the warship that had orbited Harbor Reach while the colony burned. He had seen it while he sat in a bunker monitoring the supply manifest, watching lines of code turn red as the life support systems failed, one by one. Rage, hot and sudden, flooded his chest, overriding the fear. "You," Noah whispered. Rhea's eyes narrowed slightly. The swaying of her tail stopped abruptly. "Me." "You were there," Noah said, his voice gaining volume, cracking with the weight of 3 years of suppressed nightmares. "Harbor Reach. That crest. This ship." The tension in the hallway spiked. The other 5 guards shifted their weight. Hands hovered closer to weapons. The air seemed to crackle with static. "You are the butchers," Noah spat. He didn't care that he was unarmed. He didn't care that he was wearing pajamas in front of an alien kill squad. "You glassed the colony. 30,000 people. My sister, my niece." Rhea did not flinch. She did not reach for her weapon. She simply watched him, her golden eyes unreadable. "Harbor Reach was a tragedy," Rhea said calmly. "But if you think we glassed it, then your intelligence officers are even more incompetent than we thought." "Don't lie to me!" Noah shouted, taking a step forward. Immediately, 2 of the guards stepped in, blocking him with a wall of armored shoulders. They didn't draw weapons, but the message was clear. "Sit down, human." "Easy, sisters," Rhea commanded. She looked over the shoulder of the guard. "Noah Mercer, you are confused. You are angry, and you are unarmed on a Vulpra heavy cruiser, deep in the null sector. I suggest you retreat to your cabin before you force me to demonstrate why we are the apex predators of this sector." Noah glared at her, his chest heaving. He wanted to hit something. He wanted to tear the ship apart bolt by bolt. But the logistics mind, the cold analytical part of him that had survived the court-martial, took over. Probability of successful mutiny, 0%. Probability of death, 100%. "Why am I here?" Noah demanded, though he stepped back. "I was on a civilian transport. I paid for a ticket to Station 4. Did you hijack a refugee ship? Is that what the mighty Volpra Empire does now? Kidnap failures and drifters? One of the guards, a smaller fox with fur distinctively lighter than the others, snorted. Failures maybe. Expensive ones certainly. Quiet, Mira, Rhea snapped. She turned her gaze back to Noah. Your transport was not hijacked. It was relieved of its cargo. Specifically you. Why? Because, Rhea said, her voice dropping an octave, becoming serious and sharp. You are the only thing holding the galaxy together right now, Noah Mercer. And if we let you float to Station 4, you would be dead within 48 hours. She gestured to the door behind him. Go inside. Eat. Wash. Dr. Eileen has prepared a nutrient pack that won't shock your fragile human digestive system. We will talk when you are less emotional. I am not a prisoner, Noah said through gritted teeth. Rhea smiled, showing a flash of white, sharp teeth. It was terrifying. Of course not, she said. You are a guest. A guest who is not allowed to leave his room, touch the controls, or talk to anyone other than us. Enjoy the hospitality. The door materialized out of the wall again, sliding shut, and sealing Noah back inside his amber-lit cage. 2 hours passed. Noah paced the length of the room exactly 400 times. He counted. He had checked the perimeter. The walls were solid. The ventilation ducts were too small for a human, even a scrawny one like him. The window, a large oval viewport, showed nothing but the streaking, distorted starlight of warp travel. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the tray of food that had been delivered through a slot in the wall. It was a bizarre assortment. There were cubes of glowing blue jelly, which he assumed was the nutrient pack. But next to them sat a very recognizable, very human apple. He picked up the apple. It was real. It smelled like Earth. Where did they even get this? He muttered. Apples cost 50 credits apiece in the rim. The door dissolved again. Noah jumped to his feet, dropping the apple. It rolled across the floor and bumped against the boot of Commander Rhea Solis. She bent down, picked it up with a fluid grace, and tossed it to him. He caught it instinctively. I hope the accommodations are sufficient, she said, stepping into the room. The door sealed behind her. She was alone this time. No guards. Just her, the armor, and the overwhelming presence of a predator in a small space. It is a nice cell, Noah said, sitting back down. Better than the brig I sat in after Harbor Reach. Rhea walked over to the viewport and looked out at the stars. Her tail swayed slowly behind her, a pendulum of russet and white. We know about your court-martial, she said. Noah Mercer, Senior Logistics Officer, Grade 4. Discharged dishonorably for gross negligence resulting in the loss of strategic assets. That is a polite way of saying they blamed you for the supply grid failing during the attack. I didn't fail, Noah said, his voice bitter. The grid didn't fail. It was shut down. Remotely. From the inside. I saw the data. I saw the pattern. The fuel cells were ejected before the first shot was fired. Rhea turned to face him. Her expression had shifted. The amusement was gone, replaced by a sharp intelligence. Exactly, she said. You saw the pattern. That is why you are here. Noah frowned. What are you talking about? Rhea tapped a control on her wrist gauntlet. A hologram projected into the center of the room. It was a chaotic sphere of rotating code symbols and biological readings. 3 days ago, Rhea began pacing slowly around the hologram. Your civilian transport passed through Sector 7. It triggered a passive listening buoy. A buoy that has been silent for 100 years. She pointed to a string of red data in the hologram. The buoy broadcast a distress signal. A Level 1 priority signal. Do you know what Level 1 means in the Volpra Ascendancy? Noah shook his head. I assume it means, come shoot something. It means the Emperor is dead, Rhea corrected. Or it implies a crisis of existential magnitude. We intercepted the signal. It was encrypted. heavily. But the key to the encryption. She looked at Noah, her golden eyes boring into him. Was a biological signature. Specifically a human genome sequence. Noah laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. You have the wrong guy. I am nobody. I am a warehouse counter. My parents were asteroid miners. My genetic code is about as special as dirt. That is what we thought, Rhea said. Until we matched the signature from the buoy to the passenger manifest of the SS Iron Mule. It was a 100% match to you, Noah Mercer. Noah stared at the hologram. The numbers spun. He looked at them, really looked at them. And then the habit kicked in. The curse, he saw it. Buried in the chaotic stream of alien code, there was a rhythm, a cadence. It was a supply chain logic, input, output, storage, key. That's, Noah squinted. That's not just a signal. That's a routing number. It's a logistical path. Rhea's ears perked up. Explain. Look at the third column, Noah said, pointing at the light. It repeats every 12 cycles. It's a coordinate shift. It's not a distress call. It's a shipping lane. It's a delivery receipt. Rhea stared at the hologram, then at Noah. A strange look passed over her face. Respect, fear. The Treaty of the Gray Sun, Rhea said softly. 150 years ago, our species and yours fought a war that nearly cracked the moon of Terra. We signed a truce. But there were rumors of a failsafe, a guarantee kept by both sides to ensure the other never broke the peace. I failed history class, Noah said. What does this have to do with me being kidnapped? The signal directed us to you, Rhea said. It overrode our navigation systems. My helm locked out. The ship's AI, the Den Mother, practically dragged us to your transport. We didn't have a choice, Noah. The ship thinks you are critical cargo. I am not cargo, Noah snapped. I am a human being who wants to go home. You have no home, Rhea said brutally. Not anymore. Think Noah. If we heard that signal, who else heard it? Noah went silent. The Dominion Council, he whispered. The human high command. Precisely, Rhea said. Admiral Denholm, the man who signed your discharge papers. The man who burned your career to hide the truth about Harbor Reach. Do you think he will let loose like you wander around with a cryptic beacon attached to your DNA? She leaned in close. He could smell the ozone and the faint, musky scent of a predator on her armor. If we had left you on that transport, a Dominion Black Ops team would have vaporized it just to be sure. You would be floating dust right now. Noah sat heavily on the bed. The reality of it crashed down on him. He was a fugitive, a beacon, a target. So what now? He asked, his voice hollow. You keep me here as a pet, a hostage. We keep you here because we do not know what you are, Rhea said. And until we figure out why an ancient peace treaty is using your blood as a password, you are under the protection of the Crimson Den. She straightened up and walked to the door. Rest, Noah. Tomorrow, Talashi is our chief engineer, wants to pick your brain about human pattern logic. Try not to be too rude. She bites. Wait, Noah called out. Rhea paused at the door, glancing back over her shoulder. Harbor Reach, Noah said. If you didn't attack it, why were you there? Rhea hesitated. For a second, the mask of the commander slipped. Her tail drooped slightly, a sign of sadness Noah instinctively recognized, even without knowing the language. We were not there to attack, she said softly. We were there to answer a distress call, just like this one, but we were too late. She stepped out, and the door sealed shut. Noah sat in the silence for a long time. He picked up the apple again. He took a bite. It was crisp, sweet, and tart. He stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, the stars were streaks of white fire. The Crimson Den was cutting through the void at a speed human ships could only dream of. He looked down the length of the ship's hull, visible from his window. It was organic, pulsing with red light, a living beast swimming through the dark. He looked towards where he thought Earth might be. It was millions of miles away, Billions. He was the only human on a ship full of apex predators who claimed to be his saviors. He was the scapegoat for a massacre. And now, apparently, he was a walking, breathing encryption key for a century-old secret. Noah looked at the door. He knew without checking that the guards were still there. The sisters, watching, waiting. Great, Noah muttered to the empty room, taking another bite of the apple. Just great. I asked for a quiet retirement and I get a fox harem with loaded guns and a galactic conspiracy. He leaned his forehead against the cool glass. The pattern in the hologram was still burning in his mind. He closed his eyes, and he could see it. It wasn't just a shipping lane. It was a countdown. And it had already started. The next morning, or what passed for morning on a ship that lived in eternal twilight, began with a chime. Guest Noah, a synthesized female voice said. Breakfast is served. The slot in the wall opened. This time, there was a steaming bowl of what looked like oatmeal but purple, and a mug of something that smelled suspiciously like coffee. Noah approached it cautiously. Coffee. Synthesized, the voice replied. Replicating chemically exact compounds of Arabica beans. Caffeine content, 150 milligrams. I'll take it, Noah said. He sipped the liquid. It was hot, bitter, and perfect. The door dissolved. Standing there was not Rhea, and not the guards from yesterday. It was a slightly shorter Vulpra, her fur a dusty shade of orange, her armor covered in grease smudges and tool belts. She wore goggles pushed up on her forehead, and her tail was wagging with a frantic energy. You are awake, she chirped. Good, I am Tala, chief engineer. I have so many questions. She didn't wait for an invitation. She bounced into the room holding a datapad. Okay, so, Tala started scrolling rapidly. Human logistics. Base 10 mathematics, right. But you use binary for computing. Why it is so inefficient. We use trinary logic states. Much smoother. Noah blinked, holding his coffee cup with two hands. Hello. Hello, yes. Okay, look at this. She shoved the datapad in his face. It displayed a schematic of a cooling vent. This is a human design I found in the archives. Why is there a 90-degree angle here? The fluid dynamics are terrible. It creates turbulence. Noah looked at the schematic. That's a pre-war heavy cruiser vent. They built them square because it was cheaper to mass-produce the plating. Tala gasped, her ears flattening. Cheaper? You sacrifice airflow for money. Welcome to humanity, Noah said dryly. We ruin everything to save 5% on the budget. Tala looked at him with wide eyes. That is fascinatingly stupid. I love it. She grabbed his arm. Her grip was strong, surprisingly so. Come on. Rhea said I could show you the engine room if you behaved. And since you haven't tried to stab anyone with a spoon yet, you are behaving. Can I leave the room? Noah asked, surprised. With an escort, Tala said, pointing to the door. 2 guards, Mira, the small one from before, and another silent, imposing sister, stepped into view. Mira gave him a little wave with 2 fingers. Don't get excited, human, Mira grinned. We are just here to make sure you don't touch anything shiny. I make no promises, Noah said, finishing his coffee in one gulp. As they walked down the corridor, Noah felt the eyes of the crew on him. Other Vulpra stopped to watch as he passed. Some whispered. Some growled low in their throats. But Tala kept chatting, oblivious to the tension. So, Tala said, her tail swishing back and forth, occasionally brushing against Noah's leg. Is it true humans only have 1 tail? We have 0 tails, Tala, Noah said. 0. She looked horrified. How do you balance? How do you express sarcasm? We use our faces, Noah said. And words. Boring, Mira chimed in from behind. No wonder you people are always fighting. You can't tell when someone is happy unless they scream, I am happy at you. Noah actually laughed. It was a short, startled sound. You might have a point there, he admitted. They reached a massive blast door at the end of the corridor. Tala placed her palm on the scanner. The door groaned a biological muscular sound and split open. The engine room of the Crimson Den was a cathedral of light. In the center, suspended in a magnetic field, was the core. It wasn't a reactor. It was a star, a captured miniature singularity swirling with violent, violet energy. But growing around it, containing it, were roots, massive crystalline roots that pulsed with the heartbeat Noah had felt earlier. The heart root, Tala whispered reverently. It feeds on the singularity and gives us life. Noah stared at it. His pattern mind engaged instantly. He saw the flow of energy. He saw the consumption rates. He saw the distribution network branching out to the thrusters, the shields, the life support. It was beautiful, and it was terrifyingly efficient. It's alive, Noah said. Everything is alive, Tala said. The ship is not a machine, Noah. She is a sister. She protects us. And right now, Tala turned to him, her expression sobering. She is very confused by you. Me. The heart root keeps trying to synchronize with your biorhythm, Tala said, tapping her datapad. Look, every time you entered a room, the energy output spiked by 0.4%. She likes you, Mira snorted. Great. The ship has a pet human too. Noah looked at the data on Tala's screen. She was right. The spikes aligned perfectly with his movements. This doesn't make sense, Noah muttered. I'm human. This ship is Volpra technology. We are incompatible. Apparently not, Tala said. Which brings us back to the question Rhea asked. Who are you, Noah Mercer? Noah looked up at the singularity. The violet light reflected in his eyes. I'm just the guy who counts the boxes, he whispered. But deep down, a cold knot of dread was tightening in his stomach. The pattern was getting clearer. The signal. The biolock. The ship synchronizes with him. He wasn't just a key. He was a component. Suddenly, a red alert klaxon blared, not a mechanical siren, but a high-pitched, shrieking howl that echoed through the ship. The lights shifted from amber to a blood-red crimson. Contact, Rhea's voice boomed over the speakers. Multiple signatures dropping out of warp. Dominion signatures. All hands to battle stations. Mira's playful demeanor vanished instantly. She unholstered her weapon. The other guard grabbed Noah by the arm, her grip bruising. Dominion! Tala's ears flattened against her skull. They found us. That is impossible. We are in the drift. They didn't find us, Noah said, realization dawning on him with the force of a physical blow. They followed the signal that is tied to me. He looked at Tala. I'm a tracking beacon. Mira shoved him towards the door. Move, human. Unless you want to get blown up by your own people, we need to get you to the hardening shelter. As they ran through the corridors, the ship shuddering as the first energy lances struck the shields, Noah realized something. He wasn't angry at the Volpra anymore. He was terrified for them. And for the first time in 3 years, he had a clear objective. Objective survive. Secondary objective. Don't let the bastards who burned Harbor Reach burn this ship too. Tala, Noah yelled over the screaming of the hull. The vents. The square ones. They are weak points. Tala looked at him confused. What? If they are Dominion ships, they will target the thermal exhaust ports because they assume you use standard cooling, but you don't. You use dispersion routes. Yes, Tala yelled back. Vent the plasma through the auxiliary routes, Noah screamed. Create a cloud, it will scatter their targeting lasers. Tala stopped running for a split second. She looked at Noah. Then she grinned a wild, feral expression. That is a terrible idea, she shouted. I love it. She tapped her gauntlet furiously as they rounded the corner to his quarters. Get inside, Mira ordered, throwing him into his room. Stay down. The door was sealed. Noah was alone again. But this time he didn't sit on the bed. He ran to the viewport. Outside, the void was lighting up. 3 massive blocky human destroyers, gray steel and gunmetal, were closing in on the elegant red curve of the Crimson Den. Green lasers slashed through the darkness. The Fox ship shuddered violently. Then Noah saw it. A massive cloud of superheated plasma vented from the side of the Crimson Den, creating a glowing chaotic nebula around the ship. The green lasers from the human destroyers hit the cloud and refracted, scattering harmlessly into space. Noah watched, his heart pounding against his ribs. "Got you," he whispered. He pressed his hand against the wall. It was warm, vibrating with the stress of combat. "Don't die," he told the ship. "Don't you dare die." For a moment he thought he felt a pulse against his palm. Acknowledgement. Noah Mercer, the disgraced logistics officer, stood at the window of an alien warship, watching his own people try to kill him, and realized with a sinking certainty that his life as a boring, invisible man was over. He was at war. And for the first time, he wasn't sure which side he was on. The concept of a morning routine was entirely theoretical on the Crimson Den. Without a sun to rise or set time, was dictated by the rhythmic thrumming heartbeat of the ship's organic core and the arbitrary dimming of the bioluminescent walls. Noah Mercer had been aboard for what he calculated to be 7 standard rotations, yet he still woke up with the panicked sensation of falling. He sat up in his bed, the silk sheets pooling around his waist. His first thought was not of the looming galactic war, nor of the terrifyingly attractive foxwomen guarding his door. His first thought was of water, specifically the lack of it. Noah shuffled to the hygiene alcove in the corner of his quarters. He stared at the smooth, amber-colored depression in the floor. There were no faucets. There were no knobs. There was only a single judgmental sensor eye embedded in the wall. "Cleanse," Noah commanded, bracing himself. The air in the alcove shimmered. A column of high-intensity ultraviolet light and sonic vibrations descended from the ceiling. It did not feel like a warm shower. It felt like standing inside a static electricity storm, while thousands of tiny invisible ants scrubbed his skin with sandpaper. "I hate this," Noah muttered, squeezing his eyes shut as the sonic waves blasted away dead skin cells and bacteria. "I hate this so much. I would kill for a bucket of lukewarm water and a bar of gritty soap." The cycle ended with a chime. Noah stepped out feeling sterilized rather than clean. His skin tingled unpleasantly. He dressed in the fresh tunic provided by the ship, another seamless gray garment that fit too well, and waited. Right on cue, the door dissolved. It was not a guard this time, but Dr. Eileen. The ship's medical officer was distinct from the warriors. Her fur was a softer cream color, her armor less plated and more utilitarian, filled with pouches and glowing vials. She held a tray. "Good cycle, Noah," Eileen said. Her voice was softer than Ria's, lacking the command resonance, but she carried herself with a clinical authority that made Noah instinctively straighten his posture. "Doctor," Noah nodded. "Please tell me that is not another light cube." Eileen placed the tray on his desk. "It is not. I have been experimenting." Noah looked at the plate. Sitting there looking tragically out of place against the sleek alien metal was an approximation of a sandwich. The bread looked dense like compressed sawdust, and the filling was a neon purple paste. "I analyzed the molecular structure of the carbohydrate rations you humans favor," Eileen explained, her ears twitching with suppressed pride. "I attempted to synthesize a counterpart using our fungal nutrient base. It should provide 40% of your daily caloric needs." Noah picked it up. It was heavy. "You made me a sandwich. Why?" "Because your cortisol levels are elevated," Eileen said, tapping a holographic display on her wrist. "Stress inhibits your immune system. And Tala told me that humans find comfort in consuming dead plant matter compressed into squares." "Is this accurate?" Noah suppressed a laugh. "Close enough." He took a bite. It tasted like mushrooms and copper, but the texture was solid. It was the best thing he had eaten in a week. "It is edible. Thank you, doctor." Eileen sat on the edge of the desk watching him chew. her tail wrapped neatly around her ankles. "I also have a request. A trade, if you will." "I don't have any money," Noah said through a mouthful of purple paste. "And my watch is cheap plastic." "I do not want credits," Eileen said. She leaned forward, her golden eyes widening slightly. "I want a story. Tala says you know fairy tales. Stories about wolves and woods and grandmothers." Noah paused. "Little Red Riding Hood." "Yes." Eileen nodded eagerly. "The idea that a small, furless primate could outwit a Canis lupus is biologically improbable yet fascinating. I wish to hear it." Noah looked at the alien doctor, who could probably snap his neck with one hand, asking for a bedtime story. The absurdity of his life was becoming routine. "All right," Noah swallowed the last of the sandwich. "But I get to ask a question for every part of the story I tell." Eileen narrowed her eyes. "Commander Rhea has forbidden us from discussing operational data." "I don't want operational data," Noah lied smoothly. "I want to know about the crew. Who is guarding me today?" Eileen considered this, then nodded. "Acceptable. Begin." An hour later, Noah was walking down the curved corridor with a new escort. Eileen had returned to the medical bay, leaving him in the care of Mira. Mira was the smallest of the sisters, a scout with russet fur that seemed to bristle with constant energy. She didn't walk. She prowled. She was currently walking backward, facing Noah, her sidearm hanging loosely at her hip. "So," Mira grinned, her sharp teeth flashing, "you told Eileen the wolf eats the grandmother whole without chewing. That is terrible digestion efficiency." "It is a metaphor, Mira," Noah said, keeping his eyes on the passing wall displays. His mind was recording everything. Fuel lines running dorsal. 3 security checkpoints passed. Shift changes every 6 hours. "Where are we going?" "Engineering," Mira said, spinning around to walk forward. "Tala is threatening to disassemble the warp drive if she does not get someone to explain thermal throttling to her. Rhea decided it was safer to send you than to let Tala blow up the ship." "Rhea trusts me near the engine?" Noah asked, surprised. "Rhea trusts that I will shoot you in the kneecap if you touch anything red," Mira replied cheerfully. "Do not touch anything red, Noah." Noted. They reached the massive blast doors of engineering. Tala was waiting for them, practically vibrating. The engineer was covered in grease and soot, her goggles magnifying her eyes to comical proportions. "Noah!" Tala shouted over the hum of the core. "Get over here, I found a picture of a motherboard from the 21st century. Look at it. It is barbaric." She dragged him to a console. On the screen was a grainy image of an ancient green circuit board. "Look at the soldering!" Tala gestured wildly. "It is two-dimensional. How did you people process data without depth? Did you just stack the electrons?" "We were working with silicon and copper, Tala," Noah said, leaning over the console. "We didn't have bioneural gel." "And the input method," Tala shuddered. "Keyboards. You hit the machine with your fingers, repeatedly." "It was tactile," Noah defended his ancestors. "You pressed a key, a letter appeared. It was satisfying." "It sounds like abuse," Tala sniffed. "Here we interface directly." She placed her hand on a gel pad. The screen rippled and changed colors, responding to her neural impulses. "We ask the ship to calculate, and she does. We do not have to beat the answers out of her." Noah watched the data stream flow across Tala's screen. It was fast, but his mind caught the rhythm. He saw the fuel consumption logs scrolling by in the corner. "Wait." He squinted. "Sector 4 patrol logs. Ammunition expenditure 0. "Tala," Noah said casually. "I heard a human idiom the other day that confused me. Maybe you know the Vulpra equivalent. Pull the plug." Tala looked at him confused. "Pull the plug. Why would you remove the life support connection that kills the patient? Or the ship? Is this a human execution method?" "No, it means to stop a project. To cancel something," Noah explained. "Like if you were on a mission and it went wrong, you would pull the plug. Ah, Tala nodded. We say, sever the root. But we rarely do it. Vulpra do not abandon tasks. It is a matter of honor. What about burned bridges? Noah pressed. Mira, who was leaning against a support strut, cleaning her nails with a combat knife, snorted. Why are humans so obsessed with destroying infrastructure? First you pull plugs, then you burn bridges. Do you ever build anything, or do you just break things until they work? It means to cut off a retreat, Noah said. To make it impossible to go back. Mira stopped cleaning her nails. Her tail, which had been swaying lazily, went rigid. The white tip gave a sharp, distinctive twitch to the left. We know what it means, Mira said, her voice dropping the playful tone. We call it the hunter's commitment. When you step into the den of a bear, you block the exit. Only one comes out. Noah watched her tail. Your tail stopped moving. Mira blinked. What? Your tail, Noah pointed. It was swishing, happy or relaxed. Then I mentioned no retreat and it went stiff, and it twitched left. Mira looked at her own tail, then back at Noah. A slow, impressed smile spread across her face. You are observant of a blind primate, she said. Yes, the left twitch is caution, defensive aggression. And the right, Noah asked. Curiosity, Mira said. Or hunger, sometimes both. And if it puffs up, that means you are about to die, Tala said, helpfully from the console. Or that you have stepped on it. Both result in death usually. Noah filed that away. Left is bad. Right is interesting. Puffs are lethal. He turned back to the screen, pretending to look at the motherboard. But his eyes were scanning the patrol logs again. Harbor Reach. Date 3 years ago. The Crimson Den log entry. He found it. A tiny fragment of data Tala hadn't closed. Mission type search and rescue. Ordnance deployed, countermeasures only. Casualties inflicted 0. Noah's heart hammered against his ribs. The log contradicted everything the human Dominion had told him. The official report said the Crimson Den had bombarded the colony with plasma torpedoes. But the ship's own memory said it hadn't fired a single offensive shot. Noah, Tala asked. You are staring at the pixelated square again. Is it a primitive charm? Yeah, Noah lied, stepping back. Just admiring the inefficiency. He needed more. A log entry could be faked, but his gut and his pattern recognition told him the numbers on the screen were authentic. The fuel burn matched a rescue profile, high-speed, low mass. Not a heavy bombardment profile. 2 days later, the tension on the ship shifted. It wasn't anything Noah could hear, but he could feel it. The ambient lighting in the corridors was a shade darker. The sisters walked faster, their conversations hushed. Rhea Solis had summoned him to the training deck. When Noah arrived, the room was vast and circular, the walls padded with impact-absorbing gel. In the center, Rhea was moving through a combat routine. She was fighting a holographic simulation of 3 heavy combat drones. She moved like liquid fire. She held a glaive, a long staff with blades of coherent energy at both ends. She spun, ducked and struck with a precision that was terrifying to behold. The drones fired stun bolts, but Rhea was never where the bolts landed. She deflected them with the shaft of her glaive, sending them careening into the walls. Noah stood by the door, guarded by Mira. He watched, mesmerized. It was a dance of absolute violence. She is slow today, Mira whispered critically. Slow, Noah whispered back. She is moving faster than my eyes can track. She is distracted, Mira said. Her tail is tight. Noah looked. Rhea's tail was indeed held low and rigid, providing counterbalance, but lacking the fluid grace he had seen before. Rhea finished the routine with a savage overhead strike that shattered the last holographic drone into pixels. She deactivated the glaive and turned to Noah, her chest heaving slightly. Mercer, she said. Step forward. Noah walked onto the mats. The air smelled of ozone and sweat. You have been asking questions, Rhea said. She tossed the glaive to a waiting rack and grabbed a towel. Asking Aline about my command history. Asking Tala about fuel logs. Asking Mira about tail semantics. "I am a curious guest," Noah said, keeping his voice steady. "You are a spy," Rhea corrected. She walked towards him until she was intimately close. He had to look up to meet her eyes. She was a good head taller than him. "And you are looking for something specific. You want to prove we are monsters." "I want to know why my sister is dead," Noah said quietly. "I saw the logs, Rhea. In engineering. They say you didn't fire." "We didn't." "Then who did?" Noah demanded. "Colonies don't just explode. 30,000 people don't just vanish." "They didn't vanish," Rhea said, her voice hard as stone. "They were harvested." The word hung in the air, cold and brutal. "Harvested," Noah repeated. "By who?" "By the same people who put you on that transport," Rhea said. "The Dominion wants you to believe it was us. It is easier to blame the alien with the sharp teeth than to look in the mirror." "That is a lie," Noah snapped. "You are trying to turn me. You are trying to make me a weapon against my own kind." Rhea laughed a harsh barking sound. "You a weapon. You are a calculator, Noah. A soft, fleshy calculator. If I wanted a weapon, I would hand a plasma rifle to Mira." "I am not useless," Noah shouted. "I know things. I see things you don't." "Prove it," Rhea challenged. She gestured to the simulation controls. "The field generator for the training droids. It has been glitching for a week. Tala says it is fine. I say it is off. You are the pattern master. Tell me who is right." Noah looked at the generator. It was a large, humming pillar of black metal in the corner. He focused. He pushed aside the anger, the fear, the confusion. He let the numbers take over. He watched the pulse of the energy field. Hum, hum, click. Hum, hum, click. It was rhythmic. But there was a variance. Every 7th cycle, the light frequency dipped by 3 Hz. It was microscopic, invisible to the naked eye. But to Noah, it was a screaming red flag. "It's not fine," Noah said. "The magnetic containment is out of sync. It's off by 0.03%. "Tolerable limits," Rhea scoffed. "No." Noah shook his head, his eyes widening as he followed the pattern to its conclusion. "It's a harmonic resonance. The vibration is building up. It's not venting the excess heat. It's storing it in the capacitor." He looked at the readout on the wall. The capacitor charge was at 99%. "Rhea, move," Noah yelled. He didn't think so. He lunged forward. Rhea was a master warrior. Her reflexes were honed by decades of combat. But she was expecting an attack, not a rescue. When Noah threw himself at her, she hesitated for a fraction of a second. That was enough. Noah slammed into her, tackling her to the mats. His shoulder hit her breastplate, jarring his bone, but he drove them both down. Boom. The field generator didn't explode, but it discharged. A bolt of raw, uncontained plasma arced across the room, slashing through the air exactly where Rhea's head had been a second ago. It struck the far wall, melting a hole through the impact gel and scorching the metal beneath. The room went silent, save for the hiss of cooling metal. Noah was lying on top of the commander of the Crimson Den. He could feel the heat radiating from her armor. He could smell the scent of her fur pine and rain. He realized with a jolt of panic that his hands were pressing against her shoulders, and his face was inches from hers. Rhea's golden eyes were wide. Her pupils were blown into large circles. For a moment, neither of them moved. Noah scrambled off her, rolling onto his back and gasping for air. "You call that tolerable limits?" Rhea sat up slowly. She looked at the scorched wall. Then she looked at Noah. Her tail was not puffed up. It was not twitching left. It was swaying very slowly to the right. "Tala is going to be cleaning the latrines for a month," Rhea growled. But there was no heat in it. She stood up and extended a hand to Noah. It was a gauntleted hand capable of crushing steel. Noah took it. She pulled him up effortlessly. "You saved me," she stated. It wasn't a question. "I saw the pattern," Noah said, rubbing his bruised shoulder. It was obvious. "Not to my sensors," Rhea said. She held his gaze. "You called us butchers in pretty armor yesterday." "I did." "Do you still believe that—" Noah looked at the hole in the wall. He looked at Mira, who was staring at him with open-mouthed shock. He looked back at Rhea. "I don't know what I believe," Noah admitted. "But I know you didn't fire that generator. And I know you didn't kill me when I tackled you." Rhea stepped closer. She reached out and brushed a speck of dust off his tunic. The gesture was surprisingly intimate. "We are not the enemy, Noah," she said softly. "We are just the other side of the coin, and right now, someone is trying to melt the coin down." The dynamic on the ship changed after the accident. The sisters stopped looking at him like a prisoner and started looking at him like a mascot. No, that wasn't right. A project. They brought him better food. Mira started teaching him basic Vulpra phrases, mostly insults involving hairless technological incompetence. Tala actually listened to him when he pointed out inefficiencies in the power grid. But the shadow of the war was growing. Noah spent his nights in the observation deck. It was a large dome on the top of the ship offering a 360-degree view of the cosmos. He was there staring at the distant nebula when Rhea found him. She wasn't wearing her armor. She wore a long, flowing robe of deep crimson silk. It made her look less like a soldier and more like a queen. "You are not sleeping," she said, standing beside him. "I keep dreaming about spreadsheets," Noah said. "And fire." "Harbor Reach," Rhea guessed. "Yeah," Noah turned to her. "Rhea, you have to tell me. If you were there to rescue, why did you fail? Why did everyone die?" Rhea looked out at the stars. Her expression was one of profound weariness. "We received the distress call too late," she said. "When we jumped in, the atmosphere was already burning. The orbital defense grid had been turned inward. The colony was shelling itself." Noah gripped the railing. "That's impossible. The safeties—" "Were overridden," Rhea said. "By a command code only a logistics admiral would possess." Noah felt sick. "Denholm." "We tried to land," Rhea continued. "My sisters, we took shuttles down into the fire. We tried to pull people out, but the heat was too intense. We managed to save a few pods. But 30,000, she shook her head. "We saved maybe 50. 50, Noah whispered. "Where are they?" "Scattered, hidden, living under new names in the ascendancy," Rhea said. "But Noah, there was something else." She turned to him, her eyes searching his face. "On the command spire. I was there. I was trying to reach the override console. I saw a shuttle leaving. A private unmarked shuttle. It had Dominion clearance." "Who was on it?" "I saw through the viewport," Rhea said. "It was a child. A human boy. Maybe 10 years old. He was screaming. He was banging on the glass. And standing behind him was a man in a Dominion uniform." Noah's breath caught. "A survivor." "A prisoner," Rhea corrected. "They didn't just kill everyone, Noah. They took something. Or someone. And I think—" She hesitated. "I think that boy was the key to everything." "Why didn't you stop them?" "I tried," Rhea said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I fired my thrusters to intercept, but the Crimson Den took a direct hit from the orbital cannon. We lost shields. I had to choose. Chase the shuttle and die, or return to the ship and save my crew." She looked down at her hands. Claws retracted soft fur covering deadly strength. "I chose my sisters. I let the boy go. And I watched Harbor Reach burn." Silence stretched between them, heavy and suffocating. Noah looked at this alien woman. He had been taught to hate her kind. He had been told they were soulless monsters who ate children. But here, she was haunted by the memory of a human child she couldn't save. "You made the tactical choice," Noah said. His voice was thick with emotion. You saved your crew. It was the logical choice, Rhea said. But it was not the right one. I have carried that ghost for 3 years. She looked at him. When we found you, Noah, when the ship said your biological signature matched the encryption, I thought maybe the universe was giving me a second chance. A chance to save the one I left behind. Noah felt a strange warmth spread through his chest. It wasn't just gratitude. It was a connection. A tether forming between the disgraced human and the Fox commander. I'm not that boy Rhea, Noah said gently. I'm just a guy who got framed. Perhaps, Rhea said. She reached out and touched his hand. Her palm was warm, the pads of her fingers rough but gentle. But you are here now, and I will not lose you too. The moment was electric. Noah didn't pull away. He looked at her lips, then at her eyes. The cultural barrier, the species barrier, seemed to thin. Then the ship shook. It wasn't a weapon impact. It was a sensor recoil. The walls flashed from amber to pulsating orange. Commander, Mira's voice crackled over the comms. Priority intercept, we have a massive signature incoming. It is not a patrol. Rhea's demeanor shifted instantly. The queen vanished. The soldier returned. She released Noah's hand. Report, she barked. It is a Dominion dreadnought, Mira shouted. The Indomitable, Admiral Denholm's flagship. Noah felt the blood drain from his face. He found us. He didn't just find us, Mira continued. He is broadcasting on all channels. He says we kidnapped a human war criminal. He says if we don't hand over Noah Mercer within 1 hour, he will declare total war on the Vulpra ascendancy. Rhea looked at Noah. There was no fear in her eyes, only a grim resolve. Let him try, Rhea snarled. Rhea, Noah said, his mind racing. If you fight him, you start a war, a real one. Millions will die. If I give you to him, you die, Rhea said. And the truth dies with you. There has to be another way, Noah said. He grabbed her arm. Show me the data. Show me the broadcast. Rhea hesitated, then nodded. Bridge. Now. They ran. When they reached the bridge, a circular room filled with holographic displays and sisters working frantic consoles, the main screen was dominated by the face of Admiral Rourke Denholm. He looked exactly as Noah remembered, steel-gray hair, a jaw like a shovel, and eyes that looked like they had been carved out of ice. Commander Solis, Denholm's voice boomed. You are harboring a terrorist. Noah Mercer was the architect of the Harbor Reach massacre. He sabotaged the colony from within and defected to your kind. Return him, and I will show mercy to your ship. He is lying, Noah whispered, staring at the screen. He is rewriting history in real time. We know, Tala said from her station, her fingers flying across the gel pads. But the human fleet is listening. They believe him. Noah looked at the tactical map. The Indomitable was surrounded by 20 destroyers. The Crimson Den was alone. We can't win this fight, Noah said. Rhea, look at the numbers. Their output is 10 times ours. We do not need to win, Rhea said. We just need to bleed them enough to escape. No, Noah said. He stepped forward, his eyes scanning the data streams of the enemy fleet. He saw it again. The pattern. The formation of the human ships wasn't a standard attack grid. It was a containment net. They weren't trying to destroy the Crimson Den. They were trying to capture it. Why? Because they didn't just want Noah dead. They wanted him alive. They needed his biosignature. They won't fire main batteries, Noah said suddenly. Rhea, they are bluffing. They need me intact. Are you willing to bet my ship on that theory? Rhea asked. Noah looked at her. He thought about the sandwich Eileen made. He thought about Tala's excitement over the motherboard. He thought about Mira's tail lesson. He thought about Rhea's hand on his. Yes, Noah said. I am. He walked to the comms console. Open a channel, Noah said. To the whole fleet. Not just Denholm. Everyone. Noah, what are you doing? Rhea warned. I am burning a bridge, Noah said, a dark smile playing on his lips. Open it. Mira looked at Rhea. Rhea nodded once. The channel opened. Admiral Denholm, Noah, said, his voice projecting into the void. This is Noah Mercer. You say I am a traitor, fine. Then come and get me. But you better bring more than 20 ships. Because I have seen your supply logs, Admiral. And I know you are running low on fuel. It was a bluff. A massive, desperate bluff. But Noah knew logistics. And he knew that a fleet this size moving this fast was stretching its lines. And one more thing, Noah added. I know about the boy. On the screen, Denholm's face twitched. It was subtle, but it was there. End transmission, Noah ordered. The bridge was silent. You just poked a Leviathan in the eye, Tala whispered. No, Noah said, turning to Rhea. I just made him angry. An angry commander makes mistakes. And when he makes a mistake, we are going to run. Rhea looked at him. Her tail swished. To the right. Battle stations, Rhea commanded, a fierce grin breaking across her face. The human wants to play. Let's show him how Vulpra dances. As the ship surged forward, shields flaring to life, Noah stood by the captain's chair. He wasn't a prisoner anymore. He wasn't a guest. He was part of the crew. And he was going to bring the whole corrupt system down one supply crate at a time. The rendezvous point was known as the Void of Silence. It was a sector of dead space devoid of stars, nebulas, or even significant cosmic dust. It was the perfect place to bury a body, or in this case, to bury the truth. Noah Mercer stood on the bridge of the Crimson Den. His hands were clasped behind his back, sweating against the fabric of his gray tunic. Through the massive semi-organic viewport, he watched the arrival of his own people. They were ugly. He had never thought of human ships as ugly before. He used to see the Dominion destroyers as marvels of industrial engineering, blocky titans of steel and ceramic. But now, standing inside the fluid, bioluminescent curves of a Vulpra warship, the human fleet looked like a collection of flying bricks. They are posturing, Commander Rhea Solis said. She stood next to him, fully armored. Her helmet was off, tucked under her arm, revealing a face set in stone. Look at their formation. That is not a diplomatic escort. That is a firing squad. Admiral Denholm does not believe in diplomacy, Noah said. He believes in superior firepower and intimidation. He has neither today, Rhea growled. The Crimson Den was not alone. Flanking them were two heavy cruisers from the Vulpra Ascendancy, commanded by War Matron Chevelle. Chevelle was a hardliner, a fox with fur as black as the void, and a hatred for humanity that burned brighter than a warp core. She was only here because the Vulpra High Council wanted to know why a human logistics officer was so important. We are entering the negotiation perimeter, Mira announced from the sensory station. Her tail was twitching violently to the left defensive aggression. The station is hailing us. In the center of the deadlock floated the Tether, an ancient automated relay station that had been repurposed for this meeting. It was a spinning metal skeleton neutral ground. Noah, Rhea, said, her voice dropping so only he could hear. If this goes wrong, Tala has orders to put you in an escape pod and launch you into the drift. If this goes wrong, Noah replied, eyes fixed on the tactical display. An escape pod just means I die in a smaller box. He looked at the tactical overlay. The human fleet, led by the flagship Indomitable, was broadcasting a navigational handshake code. The Vulpra fleet was broadcasting a countercode. Noah frowned. Tala, Noah called out. Isolate the guidance frequency the humans are using to dock with the station. Why? Tala asked, her fingers dancing over her gel console. It is standard protocol. Just do it, Tala grunted, but complied. A string of numbers appeared on the main holographic display. Noah read them. He didn't just read them. He felt them. 112358. It is a Fibonacci sequence, Noah muttered. Standard approach vector. Then he saw the deviation. At the 13th integer, the code skipped. It inserted a ghost variable, a tiny microscopic command line that didn't belong in a navigation handshake. Execute protocol scorched earth. Noah felt a cold hand grip his heart. He knew that command line. He had seen it 3 years ago, buried in the supply manifests of Harbor Reach, just before the colony cannons turned inward. It is a trap, Noah said. His voice was quiet, but it cut through the hum of the bridge. What? Rhea turned to him. The guidance beacons, Noah said, pointing at the ghost variable. They are not just guiding the ships. They are syncing the targeting computers of both fleets to a third-party source. Someone is building a bridge between your fire control and theirs. Who? Rhea demanded. I don't know, Noah said. But look at the timestamp. It matches the signal that brought me here. The third party. Commander, Mira shouted. Admiral Denholm is hailing us. Priority channel. Put him on, Rhea said, stepping into the center of the command circle. The image of Admiral Rourke Denholm flickered to life. He sat in his command chair, looking every inch the savior of humanity. His medals gleamed under the harsh bridge lights of the Indomitable. Commander Solus, Denholm said smoothly. And War Matron Chevelle. I trust your journey was pleasant. Cut the pleasantries, Admiral. War Matron Chevelle cut in from her own ship, her image, appearing on a split screen. She looked feral, her ears flattened. We are here for humans. Hand him over and perhaps my sisters will not paint the stars with your blood. Such hostility, Denholm sighed. We only want justice. Noah Mercer is a fugitive, a traitor who sabotaged a human colony and fled to the enemy. We are simply here to clean up our mess. Rhea stepped forward. He is not a mess, Admiral. He is a witness. A witness to what? Denholm sneered. His own incompetence. To your supply lines, Noah said. He stepped into the frame, standing next to Rhea. He saw Denholm's eyes widen slightly. Hello, Admiral, Noah said. Did you enjoy the extra fuel requisitions you signed for the Harbor Reach relief effort? The ones that never arrived because you sold them to the black market. Silence him, Denholm barked to someone off-screen. This is preposterous. Commander Solus, I am giving you 1 minute to eject Mercer's pod. If you do not, we will consider this an act of war. You are already at war, you fool, Noah shouted. Look at your targeting arrays, they are locked. What are you babbling about? Denholm scowled. Check your systems, Noah yelled. Your fire control is offline, so is ours. On the Vulpra side, Chevelle was roaring orders. Why are the weapons not tracking? Override the safeties. I can't, Tala cried out from her station. The system is locked out. It is a hardline override from the station. Suddenly, the neutral station. The tether began to change. Panels on its skeletal frame slid open. Turrets, ancient and dusted with cosmic frost, rotated into position. They weren't human designs. They weren't Vulpra. They were sleek black and pulsed with a terrifying green light. What is that? Mira whispered. That, Noah said, watching the pattern unfold on the screen, is the Harbor Reach defense grid. Someone moved it here. Who controls it? Rhea demanded. Nobody, Noah realized. It is automated. It is a loop. It detects 2 opposing fleets, locks their weapons, and then initiates sanitization. Sanitization, Tala asked. It kills everyone, Noah said. As he spoke, the station fired. It wasn't a laser. It was a pulse of coherent gravity. The beam struck one of the human destroyers on the flank. The ship didn't explode. It imploded. One moment it was a ship, the next, it was a crushed tin can comprising twisted metal and silence. Evasive maneuvers, Rhea screamed. The Crimson Den lurched violently. The inertial dampeners whined, struggling to compensate. They are firing on us too, Chevelle screamed over the comms. Treachery! The humans led us into a kill box. No, Noah shouted into the comms. Denholm didn't do this. Look at him. On the screen, Denholm looked terrified. His fleet was scattering braking formation as the station picked them off one by one. We have to disarm it. Noah grabbed Rhea's arm. The station is broadcasting a jammer. We can't hack it remotely. The signal is bouncing off the minefield surrounding it. Minefield? Rhea asked. There, Noah pointed to the tactical cloud. Thousands of passive mines. They just activated. If we try to fly the Crimson Den in there, we will be vaporized. Then we are dead, Mira said. We cannot fight. We cannot run. We don't take the ship, Noah said. His brain was firing on all cylinders, the adrenaline clearing the fog of fear. We take a shuttle. Something small. Low energy signature. We fly under the mines dock with the central hub and kill the brain. That is suicide, Tala said. It is logistics, Noah corrected. The station is designed to target capital ships. It ignores debris. We have to look like debris. Rhea looked at the screen where another human ship crumpled like paper. Then she looked at Noah. Mira Tala with me, Rhea commanded. Noah, you are the navigator. Get us to the hub. I am coming with you, Noah said. You are staying here where it is safe. I am the only one who knows the code, Rhea, Noah shouted. It is the Harbor Reach supply algorithm. You need me to type it in, unless you want to try guessing a 64-digit prime number sequence while gravity beams turn us into paste. Rhea growled a low, dangerous sound in her throat. Fine. But if you die, I will kill you myself. The shuttle was a sleek, needle-like craft, barely large enough for the four of them. Rhea piloted. Mira manned the defensive turret. Tala was in engineering. Noah sat in the co-pilot seat, his hands flying across the sensor suite. Launch, Rhea ordered. The shuttle shot out of the Crimson Den's bay. Immediately, the void around them became a kaleidoscope of violence. The station was firing indiscriminately. Green beams slashed through the dark, dissecting ships from both fleets. Keep the power output below 5%, Noah ordered, his eyes glued to the energy readings. If we spike above 5, the mines will sense us. 5%, Rhea hissed, wrestling with the controls. That is barely enough to keep life support on. We are drifting. Exactly, Noah said. Be a rock, just a rock floating in space. A massive piece of debris, the severed bridge of a human frigate, tumbled past their canopy, missing them by meters. This is insane, Mira muttered from the gunner seat. I am a warrior, not garbage. Today, being garbage keeps you alive, Noah said. Left hard left, Rhea yanked the stick. The shuttle rolled narrowly, avoiding a proximity mine that blinked with a menacing red eye. We are approaching the hub, Tala said. The jamming signal is strongest here. My console is screaming. Visual contact, Rhea said. The central hub of the station was a spinning ring of black metal. In the center, a glowing green core pulsed like a malignant heart. There is no docking port, Rhea said. There is a maintenance hatch, Noah pointed. On the underbelly, it is manual. We have to go outside. Spacewalk, Mira groaned. I hate spacewalks. My fur gets static. Rhea brought the shuttle into a matching rotation with the hub. The G-forces pressed Noah into his seat, trying to crush the air from his lungs. Magnetic clamps engaged, Rhea grunted. The shuttle slammed against the station hull with a deafening clang. Suits on, Rhea ordered. Noah scrambled into the environmental suit Tala threw at him. It was designed for a Vulpra, so the legs were digitigrade and awkward, and the helmet had extra space for ears that he didn't have. He felt like a child, wearing his father's clothes. They cycled the airlock and stepped out into the silence. The view was apocalyptic. Above them, the battle raged. The Crimson Den was taking hits at shields flaring brilliant red. The Indomitable was burning. Move! Rhea's voice crackled in his ear. They engaged their magnetic boots, clanking across the hull, towards the maintenance hatch. We have company, Mira shouted. Noah looked back. From the maintenance ports of the station, security drones were deployed. They were spider-like machines scrambling across the hull with terrifying speed. "Hold them off," Rhea ordered. "Noah, get the door open." Mira and Rhea opened fire with their plasma rifles. Silent flashes of light illuminated the hull as they engaged the spiders. Tala was beside Noah, trying to interface with the hatch panel. "It is encrypted," Tala shouted. "It is a logic loop, I cannot break it." "Move." Noah shoved her aside. He looked at the panel. It wasn't Vulpra code. It wasn't standard human code. It was the pattern, the sequence. He tapped the manual override keys. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. The light turned green. The hatch hissed open. "In, go!" Noah yelled. They dove into the airlock just as a spider drone leaped at them. Rhea blasted it into scrap metal, mid-air, and the blast door slammed shut, severing one of the drone's mechanical legs. The airlock cycled. They stripped off their helmets. "The core is this way," Noah said, running down the corridor. "The gravity generator controls should be in the central spire." They sprinted through the ancient, dusty hallways. The station shook violently as it fired its main weapon again. "We are running out of time," Tala panted. "The capacitor is charging for a sector-wide burst. It is going to wipe out everything within 10,000 kilometers." They burst into the control room. It was a circular chamber dominated by a massive floating interface pillar. "That is the brain," Noah said. He ran to the console. His fingers hovered over the controls. It was a chaotic mess of alien syntax and human naval code. "How do we stop it?" Rhea asked, standing guard at the door with Mira. "I have to introduce a logic error," Noah said. "I have to force it to divide by 0. I have to crash the system." "Do it," Rhea said. "I am trying," Noah typed furiously. "But the system is adapting, it knows I am here. It is rewriting the firewall faster than I can break it." "Noah," Tala said, her voice trembling. "Look." She pointed to the tactical display on the wall. The station wasn't just firing. It was transmitting. It was sending a data packet. It is sending the battle data, Noah realized. It is recording the effectiveness of the weapon. This is a field test. We are the guinea pigs. "The spiders are cutting through the door," Mira shouted. Sparks showered from the entrance as the drones outside began to burn through the metal. "Noah!" Rhea screamed. Noah looked at the console. The computer was fighting him with cold, mathematical precision. It anticipated every move. It was logic versus logic, and the machine was faster. "Think like a human," Noah told himself. "Stop playing by the rules." The machine expected a code injection. It expected a hack. It didn't expect physical stupidity. Noah looked at the hardware. The data crystals were slotted into the base of the pillar. They were glowing hot. "Tala," Noah said. "Give me your boot." "What?" "Your boot. The magnetic one." Tala blinked, then unlatched her heavy magnetic boot and handed it to him. Noah didn't type another line of code. He didn't try to outsmart the algorithm. He climbed onto the console. He was barefoot now, his socks slipping on the smooth metal. He raised the heavy metal boot over his head. "Hey, computer!" Noah yelled. "Parse this!" He smashed the boot down into the primary crystal array. Crunch. Sparks flew. The console screamed a digital shriek of dying hardware. The red light of the interface flickered and died. The hum of the station stopped. The gravity stopped. Noah floated off the console weightless. The artificial gravity of the station had failed, along with the weapon system. "Did you just fix a hyper-advanced alien superweapon by hitting it with a shoe?" Tala asked, floating upside down. "Percussive maintenance?" Noah gasped, grabbing a handhold. "It is a human specialty." Outside, the firing stopped. The green beams vanished. The silence of the void returned. "The drones are dead," Mira reported, pushing the half-melted door open. They deactivated. Rhea kicked off the wall, and floated over to Noah. She grabbed his tunic to steady him. "You are insane," she said. Her eyes were shining. "I am effective," Noah corrected. "We need to leave," Tala said, looking at her datapad. "The reactor is unstable. Without the cooling cycle, this station is going to melt down in 10 minutes. The flight back to the Crimson Den was quiet. The battle was over. The surviving ships of both fleets hung in space, battered and smoking. When they landed in the hangar bay, Noah collapsed. His legs felt like jelly. He sat on the deck, leaning against the shuttle's landing strut. Rhea sat down next to him. She didn't care about the grease on the floor or the dignity of her rank. She took her helmet off and ran a hand through her sweat-matted fur. "We survived," she said. "Barely," Noah said. "Noah," Rhea said. She turned to look at him. "You had a choice. You could have let the station destroy Denholm. You could have let it destroy Chauvel. You could have had your revenge. You could have wiped the slate clean." Noah looked at his hands. They were shaking. "I wanted to," Noah admitted. "For a second when I saw Denholm's face, I wanted to let it burn. But then, I looked at the Indomitable. There are 5,000 crew members on that ship, Rhea. Engineers, cooks, janitors. People like me. They didn't burn Harbor Reach. They are just following orders." Rhea looked at him with a gaze that was soft and terrifyingly intense. "You are a better man than they deserve," she said. She leaned in. The hangar bay was empty except for them and the cooling shuttle. Tala and Mira had gone to check the damage. The distance between them closed. Noah could feel her breath. It was warm. He could see the gold flecks in her eyes. He forgot she was an alien. He forgot the war. He just saw someone who understood the weight of survival. He leaned in too. "Human pheromones are fascinating," Tala's voice boomed across the hangar. Noah and Rhea jumped apart, as if they had been electrocuted. Tala was standing by the airlock, holding a diagnostic tablet, grinning like a maniac. "The chemical markers for arousal and bonding are spiking off the charts," Tala announced happily. "Is this the romance part of the human stories? Do you mate now, or do you have to exchange rocks first?" Rhea stood up. Her tail was puffed to 3 times its normal size. "Tala," Rhea said, her voice trembling with suppressed rage. "Go to the engine room. Count the bolts. All of them. If you miss one, I will shave you bald." Tala's ears drooped. "Oh, okay, going." She scampered off. Noah stayed on the floor, covering his face with his hands. He was laughing. He couldn't help it. It was a hysterical, exhausted laughter. Rhea looked down at him, and the anger drained out of her. She started laughing too. It was a strange sound, like a bark mixed with a purr. "We are alive," Rhea said, offering him a hand up. "Yeah," Noah said, taking it. "We are alive." The ceasefire meeting was tense. It was held via holographic link this time. No one trusted physical proximity anymore. Admiral Denholm looked diminished. His uniform was signed, and he had a bandage on his forehead. War Matron Chauvel looked furious, pacing back and forth on her bridge. "The third party," Denholm said, his voice raspy. "Who are they?" "We do not know," Rhea said, standing next to Noah on the bridge of the Crimson Den. "But they played us both. They used your codes, Admiral, and they used our desire for war." "This changes nothing," Chauvel spat. "The human is still a liability." "The human saved your life," Rhea cut in sharply. "If Noah had not disabled the station, your fleet would be dust, Chauvel. Show some respect." Chauvel narrowed her eyes, but said nothing. "We are declaring a temporary cessation of hostilities," Denholm said stiffly, "until we can investigate this anomaly. But Mercer remains a fugitive of the Dominion." "Come and get him," Rhea said. Denholm glared at Noah. "You chose your side, son." "I chose the side that didn't try to kill me today, Admiral," Noah replied calmly. "And one more thing. The station sent a data packet before I smashed it. It went to a coordinate deep in the borderlands." So, Denholm asked. So, Noah smiled grimly. We are going to go find out who is on the receiving end. I suggest you stay out of our way. He cut the feed. The screen went black. Rhea turned to Noah. That was bold. Telling them we are hunting. It keeps them looking at us, Noah said, and not where we are actually going. And where are we actually going? Mira asked from the helm. Noah pulled up the data fragment he had stolen from the station's core before he smashed it. It was a set of coordinates, remote, desolate. We are going to follow the money, Noah said. Or in this case, the signal. That data packet wasn't just battle data. It was a receipt. He looked at the sisters. They were battered tired, but they were looking at him with trust. Set a course, Noah said. We have a ghost to catch. As the Crimson Den turned away from the wreckage of the battle, Noah looked out at the stars. He felt different. He wasn't the scared inventory clerk anymore. He had walked in the void. He had destroyed a superweapon with a shoe. And he had a family of deadly foxwomen who would kill anyone who touched him. It was, he decided, a strange life. But it was his life. And he was going to fight for it. The aftermath of the battle at the Void of Silence was not a celebration. It was a suffocating heavy quiet that settled over the Crimson Den like a shroud. The ship had survived, but the political fallout was radioactive. The Volpra High Council had formally reprimanded Commander Rhea Solis for reckless endangerment of fleet assets. The Human Dominion, led by a humiliated Admiral Denholm, had declared the sector a no-fly zone. Both sides were retreating to their corners, licking their wounds and sharpening their knives. And in the middle of it all was Noah Mercer. He was no longer a prisoner. He was something worse. He was a strategic anomaly. That was the official term the Dominion used in their public broadcasts. To the Volpra, he was a foreign contaminant with high intelligence value. Noah sat in the small, cramped mess hall of the Shadowstalker, a long-range reconnaissance corvette docked within the belly of the Crimson Den. He was staring at a datapad, his eyes burning from lack of sleep. You have been staring at those supply manifests for 12 hours, a voice said. Noah looked up. It was Rhea. She was not wearing her commander's armor. She wore a simple flight suit, dark gray, and unadorned, stripped of her rank insignia. She looked tired, but her eyes were sharp, burning with a rebellious fire. I am looking for the money, Noah said, rubbing his face. Wars are expensive, Rhea. The ammunition Denholm fired at us yesterday cost 3 billion credits. The fuel cost another 2 billion. And that is just one skirmish. Who is paying for it? Rhea sat down opposite him. The Shadowstalker was small, intimate. There was no room for protocol here. The Dominion taxes its citizens, Rhea said, and the Ascendancy relies on tribute from the Rim worlds. No, Noah shook his head. That covers the baseline. But this, the Harbor Reach defense grid moving to a neutral sector, the automated mines that is off the books, that is black budget money. And black budget money leaves a trail no matter how hard you try to scrub it. He turned the datapad around to show her. It was a map of the border sectors, filled with red dots. These are the border incidents over the last 10 years, Noah explained. Pirate raids, engine failures, stray asteroids. They look random. They are random, Rhea said. Space is dangerous. Space is dangerous, Noah agreed. But logistics are predictable. Look at the dates. Every single one of these accidents happened exactly 3 days before a major Senate vote on military spending in the Dominion, or 3 days before a council meeting on fleet expansion in the Ascendancy. Rhea's ears twitched. She leaned in, studying the map. And look at the locations, Noah continued, his voice dropping. They form a perimeter, a circle. Harbor Reach is here. He tapped a dot. Outpost 9 is here. The Void of Silence is here. They aren't random attacks. They are clearing the board. They are creating a dead zone where no one goes. And what is in the center of the dead zone? Rhea asked. That is what we are going to find out, Noah said. The airlock hissed open. Tala and Mira entered carrying heavy duffel bags. They were dressed in civilian mercenary gear, worn leather mismatched plating, and scuffed boots. "The Crimson Den is on lockdown," Tala reported, though she looked thrilled about it. "The High Council has ordered us to stay in orbit around the moon of Vex until further notice. Effectively, we are grounded." "And the crew?" Rhea asked. "Eileen has covered for us," Mira said, checking the charge on a plasma pistol that looked illegal in 12 systems. She logged a medical quarantine for the commander's quarters. "Contagious flu. Very nasty. Lots of vomiting. No one will check on you for at least 4 days." 4 days, Rhea nodded. "That is all we have." She looked at Noah. "Are you sure about this, Noah? Once we launch this ship, we are rogue. If the Dominion catches us, you will be executed for treason. If the Vulpra catches us, I will be court-martialed and stripped of my fur." Noah looked at the map again. He looked at the red dot that marked Harbor Reach. He thought about his sister. He thought about the 3 years he spent in a cell thinking he was crazy because the numbers didn't add up. "I am done being a pawn, Rhea," Noah said softly. "I want to see the player," Rhea smiled. It was a terrifying, predatory smile. "Then let us go hunting," she said. The Shadow Stalker was not like the Crimson Den. It was not a majestic warship. It was a knife in the dark. It had no active shields, only stealth coating. It had no luxury quarters, only bunk beds bolted to the hull. They slipped away from the fleet under the cover of a magnetic storm. Noah piloted, his hands sweating on the controls. He wasn't a pilot by trade, but he knew the shipping lanes better than anyone. He navigated them through the debris field of an asteroid belt, using the tumbling rocks to mask their engine signature. "We are clear," Tala announced from the engineering station 2 hours later. "We are ghosting. No active pings." They were deep in the borderlands now. This was lawless space. Here, the clean utopian aesthetics of the Dominion and the organic elegance of the Vulpra gave way to rust scavengers and silence. "We need a lead," Rhea said, standing behind Noah's chair. "The coordinates you pulled from the station point to a sector deep in the nebula. But we cannot just fly in blind. We need to know what the local traffic looks like." "We stop at Oakhaven," Noah said. "Oakhaven," Mira scoffed. "That is a trash heap. It is a station built inside the carcass of a colony ship. Scum pirates and deserters." "Exactly," Noah said. "If there is a third party operating in this sector, someone on Oakhaven has sold them fuel, water, or silence." Oakhaven was exactly as Mira described. It was a floating nightmare of welded metal and flickering neon. They docked the Shadow Stalker in a private bay, after Noah bribed the dockmaster with 2 crates of medical supplies they had liberated from the Crimson Den. They walked through the station's market. It was a sensory assault. The air smelled of recycled gin and ozone. Species from a dozen worlds mingled here: humans, Vulpra, reptilian sarks, and insectoid cliques. They wore hoods to hide their faces. Rhea, Tala, and Mira kept their tails tucked inside their long coats, a discomfort that made them irritable. "I feel naked," Mira grumbled, "and my tail is cramping." "Keep it hidden," Rhea warned. "A Vulpra high commander and a human fugitive walking into a bar is not a joke. It is a bounty target." They found a cantina called the Rusty Bolt. It was dark, smoky, and crowded. Noah led them to a booth in the back. "I'll handle this," Noah said. "You 3 look too military. You stand too straight." "I cannot help my posture," Rhea whispered. "It is disciplined." "It is conspicuous," Noah countered. "Slouch. Look miserable." Noah walked to the bar. The bartender was a massive human with a cybernetic arm and an eye patch. He looked like he had survived 3 wars and lost all of them. "Whiskey," Noah said, placing a credit chip on the counter. "Real stuff, not the synthetic swill." The bartender poured a glass of amber liquid. "You have an expensive taste for a drifter." I am looking for information, Noah said, sliding another chip across the metal surface. About shipping lanes, specifically the ones that don't exist. The bartender paused. He looked at Noah with his one good eye. Shipping lanes are public record, friend. Not the ones leading into the Azure Nebula, Noah said. I hear there is a lot of traffic going in there lately. Unmarked ships, high-energy signatures. The bartender leaned in. You a cop? Do I look like a cop? Noah gestured to his worn clothes. I am just a guy looking to avoid getting vaporized on a run. The bartender wiped a glass with a dirty rag. You stay away from the Azure Nebula, the bartender muttered. Bad business there. We call it the graveyard shift. Why? Because ships go in and they don't come out, the bartender said. But the supplies keep flowing. I have seen the manifests. Strange stuff. Biogel. Quantum processors. Stuff you don't need for a mining outpost. Who is buying? Noah pressed. Nobody knows, the bartender said. They use automated drones for the pickup. But there was a survivor a month ago. A Volpra kid, pilot of a scavenger skiff. Said he saw something in the fog. Where is he? Dead, the bartender said bluntly. Found him in an airlock without a suit 2 days after he started talking. Ruled as an accident. Noah felt a chill. What did he say he saw? The bartender looked around, then lowered his voice to a whisper. He said he saw a ship, but it was mixed. Human engines, Volpra hull, like someone stitched 2 corpses together. Noah nodded slowly. It confirmed his theory. It wasn't just a third party. It was a hybrid. He went back to the booth. Rhea was tense, her hand hovering near the concealed blaster under her coat. Well, she asked. Hybrid ships, Noah said. Human engines, Volpra hulls. And they are killing anyone who sees them. Abominations, Tala hissed. To mix the technologies is blasphemy. The harmonics would be unstable. Unless they solved the harmonics, Noah said. Unless they found a way to bridge the 2 systems, just like I did on the station. Rhea looked at him. You think they are using your code. The code you wrote, I think, Noah, said, a dark realization dawning on him. That Harbor Reach wasn't just a massacre. It was a field test. They weren't just killing people, Rhea. They were stealing the colony's central processor. The one I managed. The one that integrated the human supply grid with the local alien flora for terraforming. He slammed his fist on the table. They stole my work, Noah whispered. They killed my family to steal my life's work and turn it into a weapon. The journey to the Azure Nebula took 2 days. The Shadow Stalker moved slowly, drifting on ion currents to mask its heat signature. The downtime was agonizing. Noah sat in the cockpit, watching the swirling blue and purple gas of the nebula fill the viewport. It was beautiful and ominous, a celestial bruise. You should sleep, Rhea said. She stepped into the cockpit. She had shed the heavy coat and was back in her flight suit. In the dim blue light of the nebula, her fur seemed to glow softly. I can't, Noah said. Every time I close my eyes, I see the bartender's face. Stitched 2 corpses together. That is what they are doing. They are making monsters. Rhea sat in the co-pilot seat. She swiveled it to face him. Noah, she said softly, tell me about your sister, the one who died. Noah looked out at the stars. It had been a long time since anyone asked him that. The Dominion interviewers had only asked about his clearance codes. Her name was Sarah, Noah said. She was older than me. She was an artist. She painted landscapes. When we moved to Harbor Reach, she loved the light there. She said the sun looked like liquid gold. He swallowed the lump in his throat. She had a daughter, Emily, 4 years old. Emily loved foxes. She had a stuffed toy fox she carried everywhere. Isn't that ironic? Rhea did not laugh. Her expression was one of deep, mournful respect. It is not ironic, Rhea said. It is tragic. I hated you for 3 years, Noah confessed. He turned to look at Rhea. I sat in my cell and I imagined burning your worlds. I imagined hunting every Vulpra down. It was the only thing that kept me warm. And now, Rhea asked. Now I am cold, Noah said. Because I realized I was hating a ghost. I was hating a lie. And the people I should have hated were the ones signing my paychecks. Rhea reached out. This time, she didn't just touch his hand. She took it in hers, interlacing her fingers with his. The contrast was stark, his pale human skin against her russet fur and sharp dark claws. Hate is a fuel, Noah, Rhea said. It burns hot, but it burns out. Justice is a reactor. It sustains. I don't know if I want justice, Noah whispered. I think I just want it to stop. I want to stop counting the dead. We will make it stop, Rhea promised. She leaned closer. The cockpit was small. The air was recycled and warm. Noah looked at her. He saw the scars on her face, the intelligence in her eyes, the vulnerability she hid from everyone else. He realized he didn't see an alien anymore. He just saw Rhea. Rhea, Noah breathed. Her ears tilted back. Her tail, visible out of the corner of his eye, was swaying with a gentle, hypnotic rhythm. Noah, she replied, her voice a low purr. They moved together. It was magnetic. There was no logic to it, no pattern to analyze, just gravity. Their faces were inches apart. Noah could feel the static charge from her fur. He closed his eyes, leaning into the unknown. Beep, beep, beep. The proximity alarm screamed, shattering the moment like glass. Noah and Rhea sprang apart. Noah smashed his knee against the console. Rhea hissed, her hand flying to her weapon. Contact, Tala shouted from the back. We have multiple signatures, they just decloaked. Noah scrambled to the sensors, his heart pounding for two very different reasons. 3 ships, Noah reported, his voice shaking slightly. Frigate class. No transponders. He put the image on the main screen. They were ugly things, just as the bartender had said. The hulls were Vulpra sleek, curved organic red metal. But the engines were brutal human ion thrusters, welded onto the back, with crude industrial struts. Gun turrets of human make were bolted onto the elegant Vulpra wings. They are Frankenstein ships, Mira said, coming up behind them. That is an insult to engineering. They are hailing us, Tala said. Audio only. Put it on speakers, Rhea ordered. She was the commander again. The moment in the cockpit was locked away. A voice crackled over the speakers. It was distorted, synthesized. Unidentified vessel. You have entered a restricted testing zone. Power down your engines and prepare for boarding. Non-compliance will result in immediate termination. They don't know who we are, Noah said. They think we are just lost. Can we outrun them? Rhea asked. No, Noah said, analyzing the engine specs of the hybrid ships. Those human thrusters on a Vulpra frame, they will be fast. Unstable, but fast. If we run, they catch us in 2 minutes. Then we don't run, Rhea said. We answer. She nodded to Tala. This is Commander Rhea Solis of the Crimson Den, Rhea announced, her voice icy. I am conducting a classified inspection of this sector under the authority of War Matron Chevelle. Stand down and transmit your clearance codes. It was a gamble. If Chevelle was part of the conspiracy, her name might buy them time. There was a long pause. Commander Solis, the synthesized voice returned. We have been expecting you, but you are early, and you are on the wrong ship. They know, Noah said. They know we went rogue. Target locking, Tala shouted. They are powering weapons. Evasive, Rhea yelled. The Shadow Stalker dove to the left as a volley of green plasma and red laser fire tore through the space where they had been a second ago. Return fire, Rhea ordered. We only have the rear turret, Mira shouted already, climbing into the gunner well. Noah, get us into the nebula gas, Rhea commanded, taking the pilot seat. We need cover, Noah strapped in. The gas is ionized. It will strip our sensors. It will strip theirs too, Rhea growled. I would rather fly blind than fly dead. The chase was chaotic. The shadow stalker wove through the dense, swirling clouds of the nebula. Lightning arced across the canopy. The hybrid ships pursued relentlessly. They are hurting us, Noah realized, looking at the tactical scope. Even with the interference, he could see the pattern. They aren't trying to destroy us. They are pushing us towards the center. What is in the center? Tala asked. The nest, Noah said. Suddenly, the clouds broke. They emerged into a clear pocket of space in the heart of the nebula. And there, floating in the silence, was the answer to 3 years of nightmares. It was a station. But it was massive. It was a conglomeration of human modular station parts and Vulpra bioorganic structures fused together in a grotesque metal tumor. It bristled with weapons. Docked around it were dozens of ships. Not just hybrid frigates, but supply haulers. Dominion heavy lifters. Vulpra fast transports. By the ancestors, Rhea whispered. It is a fleet. It is a factory, Noah corrected. Look at the manufacturing ring. They aren't just fixing ships. They are building them. We are trapped, Mira said. 3 behind us. That thing in front of us. They are hailing us again, Tala said. The screen flickered. This time, there was a face. It wasn't Denholm. It wasn't Chauvel. It was a human man thin, wearing a lab coat that looked too clean. He had glasses and a nervous tick in his left eye. Hello, Mr. Mercer, the man said. We have been monitoring your logistical footprint since you left the fleet. Very impressive. You found us faster than our simulations predicted. Who are you? Noah demanded. I am Director Kale, the man smiled. And on behalf of the Interspecies Flame Initiative, I would like to welcome you to the future of warfare. Please dock at Bay 4. We have much to discuss. And Commander Solis, please tell your sisters to holster their weapons. We have the Shadow Stalker and a tractor beam. If you struggle, we will crush the hull. The ship shuddered. They were stopped, dead in space. An invisible hand was pulling them towards the station. Do we fight? Mira asked, her hand on the door of the cockpit. No, Noah said. He looked at the station. He saw the pattern of the docking bays, the fuel lines, the ventilation shafts. We go in, Noah said. They want to talk. Let's talk. But keep your comms open. Tala, I need you to build a logic virus. Something nasty. I have been bored for 2 days, Tala grinned, though her ears were flat with fear. I have 5 viruses ready. Good, Noah said. He looked at Rhea. Trust me, Rhea looked at him. The moment of near kiss was gone, replaced by the warrior's bond. With my life, she said. They were met in the hangar bay by a squad of hybrid soldiers. It was a horrifying sight. Humans wearing Vulpra armor. Vulpra mercenaries wielding human chain guns. They worked together with a chilling efficiency. Director Kale was waiting for them. He looked small, surrounded by the soldiers. Welcome, Kale said, spreading his arms. I must say, Noah, your work on the Harbor Reach integration protocols was brilliant. We use it as the base code for our hybrid engine synchronization. Noah felt a wave of nausea. You used my terraforming code to build war machines. Terraforming warforming, Kale shrugged. It is all just resource management, isn't it? Everyone should understand that. Where are Denholm and Chauvel? Rhea demanded. The Admiral and the Matron are silent partners, Kale said smoothly. They provide the raw materials, the conflicts, the incidents that justify budget increases. We provide the solutions, the weapons to fight the wars they start. You are playing both sides, Noah said. You sell weapons to the Dominion to kill Vulpra. You sell ships to the Vulpra to kill humans. And you keep the war going forever. Perpetual conflict is the only sustainable economy, Kale smiled. Peace is bad for business, Mr. Mercer. Peace causes stagnation. He gestured down the hall. Come, I want to show you something. The reason you are here." They marched through the station. It was a labyrinth of laboratories. Through glass walls, Noah saw horrors. Vulpra anatomy being grafted onto cybernetics. Human brains floating in jars connected to targeting computers. Rhea let out a low, continuous growl. Mira was shaking with rage. Kale led them to a secure server room. It was cold, filled with the hum of massive databanks. "We need you, Noah," Kale said. "We have the hardware. We have the hybrid engines. But we lack the soul, the spark. The Harbor Reach code was good, but it was incomplete. You have the rest of it in your head. The pattern." "I will never help you," Noah said. "Oh, I think you will," Kale said. "Because if you don't, we will test our new gravity bomb on the Crimson Den, and then on Earth, and then on Vulpra Prime." He tapped a console. A holographic file appeared. "Besides," Kale said, "don't you want to know why you were at Harbor Reach in the first place? Why was a mid-level logistics officer assigned to a top-secret colony?" The file opened. It was an old document, yellowed digital parchment, the Treaty of the Grey Sun, Core Clause. Noah stepped forward. He read the text. "In the event of a total breakdown of relations, a fail-safe shall be established. A living key, a bridge between the species. This key shall hold the authority to override all automated defense systems of the interspecies coalition. The guardian of the key shall be of the lineage," Noah's eyes widened, "of the House of Mercer." "My father," Noah whispered. "My father was a miner." "Your father was a diplomat," Kale corrected. "A secret diplomat. One of the architects of the original peace. He hid his lineage to protect you. But the blood is in you, Noah. You aren't just a logistics officer. You are the fail-safe. You are the Accord-bound." Noah stared at the words. The name Mercer. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't bad luck. He had been bred for this. He had been positioned at Harbor Reach, not to count boxes, but to be the box. The lock that kept the war from becoming an apocalypse. Denholm knows, Noah realized. That is why he didn't kill me. That is why he framed me. He couldn't kill the Accord-bound without triggering the automated defense grids of the entire sector. So he buried me in a prison cell. "Precisely," Kale said. "But now we have you. And with your biosignature, we can do more than just stop the defenses. We can control them. We can turn every defense grid in the galaxy into an offensive weapon." Kale smiled a thin, cruel expression. "So, Noah, will you give us the key, or do I have to extract it from your corpse?" Noah looked at Rhea. She was watching him. She didn't look at Kale. She looked only at Noah. "Noah," she said softly, "the pattern." Noah looked at the server room. He looked at the cooling vents. He looked at the hybrid soldiers guarding the door. He laughed. It was a dry, broken sound. "You want the key, Kale?" Noah asked. "Do you want the logistics?" He stepped up to the console. "I'll give you the logistics." He placed his hand on the scanner. The system beeped. "Identity confirmed, Noah Mercer. Accord-bound level alpha." "Access granted," the computer chimed. "Excellent." Kale rubbed his hands together. "Now transfer control to a computer." Noah said, his voice loud and clear. "Execute protocol inventory liquidation." Kale froze. "What liquidation?" Noah said, turning to face Kale with a cold fury in his eyes. "It means everything must go." The station's alarms began to scream. Not an alert. A countdown. Self-destruct sequence initiated. T-minus 10 minutes. "You fool!" Kale shrieked. "You'll kill us all." "I am a logistics officer," Noah said. Pulling a stun grenade from his belt, one Mira had slipped him in the elevator. "I know how to calculate acceptable losses." He pulled the pin and dropped it. Bang! The room filled with blinding white light and a sonic pulse. "Run!" Noah yelled. Rhea grabbed him and they bolted out the door, Tala and Mira, firing blindly into the smoke. They had 10 minutes to get off a station that was about to become a supernova. And Noah Mercer, the man who just wanted to count boxes, had just started the biggest fire the galaxy had ever seen. The ventilation shaft smelled of recycled ozone and stale lubricant, a scent that Noah Mercer had come to associate with the terrified boredom of his former life. He was crawling on his hands and knees, the metal grating digging into his palms. Behind him, the soft, rhythmic clinking of claws against steel told him that his escort was close. "This is undignified," War Matron Chauvel's niece, or rather the disgrace of the Volpra fleet, Commander Rhea Solis whispered from the darkness. "We are apex predators. We should be breaching the front gate, not crawling through the waste disposal unit." "The front gate has 6 auto turrets and a DNA scanner that would vaporize us before we even knocked," Noah whispered back, not stopping his crawl. "But the logistics of a hidden command bunker are universal. People need to eat, and people need to throw things away. The waistline is the only unmonitored artery in the station." "It smells like rotting protein," Tala complained from the rear. "My nose is sensitive. I am suffering." "Quiet," Mira hissed. "Noah says stop." Noah froze. Ahead of them, the shaft opened up into a larger maintenance bay. Through the grate, he could see the flicker of holographic tables and hear the low murmur of voices. They were deep inside the shadow station, the secret facility attached to the hybrid factory they had just fled. This was where the deals were made. Noah pulled a small diagnostic tool from his belt. It was a standard-issue Dominion logistics scanner, something he had swiped from a supply crate. He tapped the grate. It was magnetically sealed. "Tala," Noah signaled. "The lock." Tala shimmed forward, squeezing past Rhea. She placed her hands on the magnetic seal. Her gloves glowed with a soft blue light as she interfaced with the mechanism. "It is a simple binary loop," Tala whispered her ears, twitching with disdain. "Human security is so linear. Done." With a soft click, the grate unlatched. Noah pushed it open and dropped silently onto the catwalk below. The sisters followed, landing with the grace of cats. They were in the ceiling infrastructure of the command center. Below them, a massive circular room was dominated by a strategic map of the galaxy, and standing around it were the architects of Noah's misery. Admiral Rourke Denholm stood with his hands braced on the table, looking every inch the weary savior of humanity. Opposite him was War Matron Chauvel, her black fur bristling, her eyes burning with a fanatic's zeal. "The test was a success," Denholm was saying, his voice amplified in the cavernous room. "The hybrid ships engaged the Crimson Den. The data shows a 30% increase in combat efficiency." "And the human?" Chauvel demanded. "Director Kale said he escaped." "Mercer is irrelevant," Denholm dismissed, waving a hand. "He is one man in a stolen Corvette. We have the codes. We have a factory. Once we activate the flame protocol, the border colonies will burn. The Dominion will demand retaliation. The Ascendancy will demand blood. And we will sell the weapons to both sides until there is nothing left but us." Noah felt a cold rage settle in his stomach. It wasn't the hot, blinding anger of 3 years ago. It was colder. It was the calculated fury of an auditor finding a discrepancy in the ledger that could not be balanced. "We need the core clause," Noah whispered to Rhea. "Kale said the harbor reach data was incomplete. The original treaty is here. If I can get to that terminal." He pointed to a secluded console on a raised platform behind Denholm. "I can find out what I really am." "We will clear the path," Rhea said, her hand drifting to her blade. "No," Noah said. "Distract them. I need 3 minutes." Rhea looked at him, then nodded. 3 minutes. Then we start killing." She signaled Mira and Tala. They split up, vanishing into the shadows of the rafters. Noah moved along the catwalk, keeping low. He watched the patrol patterns of the guards below. They were hybrids, human soldiers in Volpra armor. They moved awkwardly, lacking the natural grace of the foxes or the disciplined gait of the Marines. They were products, not soldiers. Suddenly, A localized explosion rocked the far side of the room. Tala had rigged a power conduit. "Intruders!" Chauvel roared, drawing a plasma pistol. Chaos erupted. Smoke filled the air. In the confusion, Noah dropped from the catwalk landing, hard behind the raised platform. He rolled, coming up in a crouch before the console. It was an ancient machine encased in a preservation field. This was not a weapon. It was an archive. Noah placed his hand on the interface. Access denied. Biosignature required. Noah took a deep breath. He pressed his palm flat against the glass. Scanning, the machine hummed. A beam of red light scanned his retina. His palm prints the very structure of his bones. Match found. Identity subject 01. Lineage Mercer. Status accord bound. The screen flashed green. A heavy mechanical lock disengaged, and a single physical file, a slab of crystal and paper, slid out. Noah picked it up. He tapped the crystal, projecting the contents into the air. It was the Treaty of the Grey Sun. The original document was signed 150 years ago. He skipped the trade agreements. He skipped the border definitions. He scrolled to the bottom, to the core clause. To ensure lasting peace, a failsafe is created. A living bridge. The House of Mercer, holding the genetic markers compatible with the ancient tech of the precursors, shall provide a ward. This ward will be raised in the neutral zone of Harbor Reach. The ward is not a hostage. The ward is the key. Should peace be threatened by the leadership of either species, the Accord-bound has the authority to activate the Silence Protocol, a hard-coded override in all automated defense grids. Noah read the next line and his heart stopped. Current Accord-bound, Noah Mercer. Activation date cycle, 409. Guardian assignment Volpra High Command. Vessel, Crimson Den. Noah staggered back, gripping the console to stay upright. The Crimson Den wasn't sent to Harbor Reach to attack. It wasn't even sent to rescue random civilians. It was sent to pick him up. Rhea had been his bodyguard before they had ever met. The memory wiped, Noah whispered. They wiped it. He saw the medical logs attached to the file. Subject trauma induced by Dominion interrogation. Memory suppression is active. Implanted false narrative, logistics officer. Denholm hadn't just framed him. He had erased him. He had taken the most important person in the galaxy, the man built to keep the peace, and turned him into a boring, depressed inventory clerk, so that no one would ever look for him. And the massacre, Noah watched the security footage attached to the file. It was dated 3 years ago. He saw Harbor Reach. He saw the Dominion ships opening fire on their own colony. He saw the Volpra ships jumping in, taking hits to shield the escape pods. He saw a younger Rhea Solis, her armor scorched, screaming at her pilot to hold position while she tried to reach the governor's mansion. Noah fell to his knees. For 3 years he had hated the fox on the other side of the door. He hated the shape of her ears, the sound of her language, the color of her ships. And for 3 years, she had been the only person in the universe who had actually tried to save him. Noah, Rhea's voice cut through the fog. Noah looked up. The smoke was clearing. Denholm and Chauvel were not distracted anymore. They were looking right at him, and they had guns pointed at his head. "Step away from the console, Mercer," Denholm said, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and triumph. "You have nowhere to go." Noah stood up. He held the crystal slate in his hand. "I know," Noah said. His voice was quiet, but it carried. "I know everything." Rhea, Tala, and Mira were surrounded by the hybrid guards. They were disarmed, forced to their knees in the center of the room. "A tragic end," Chauvel sneered, walking towards Noah. "The traitor dies trying to steal state secrets. The Volpra rebels die with him. History will be very clean." "History is messy," Noah said. He looked at Rhea. Her golden eyes were locked on his. She didn't look afraid. She looked ready. "It is full of rounding errors." "Kill him," Denholm ordered the guards. "Wait," Noah shouted. "You can't kill me, Admiral. Not here. Not while I am touching this console." "And why is that?" Denholm asked. Because I am the manager, Noah said. And I would like to speak to the system. He slammed his hand back onto the interface. System, Noah yelled. Recognize Accord-bound authorization Mercer Alpha 1. The room plunged into darkness. For a second there was total silence. Then the floor began to vibrate. The lights flickered back on, but they weren't the harsh white of the Dominion or the amber of the Vulpra. They were blue. The color of the ancient precursors. The color of the treaty. Identity confirmed, a synthetic voice boomed from the walls. The Accord is active. What did you do? Chevelle shrieked, looking at her weapon. The power cell was dead. My gun, it is dead. All weapons are dead, Noah said, walking down the steps of the platform. The silence protocol. It disables all offensive technology within the jurisdiction of the Accord-bound. He walked past the hybrid guards. They pulled their triggers, but nothing happened. Their suits froze, locking up as the system overrode their servos. Noah walked until he stood directly in front of Denholm. The Admiral was frantically tapping his datapad, but the screen was black. You can't do this, Denholm stammered. I am a Grand Admiral of the Dominion. I command the fleet. You command nothing, Noah said. You are an employee who violated the company policy. He turned to Rhea. Rhea, Noah said. The protocol only stops automated weapons and energy-based systems. It doesn't stop biology, Rhea smiled. She stood up, dusting off her knees. She looked at the frozen guards, then at Chevelle. That, Rhea said, her tail swishing slowly to the right, is a very important distinction. She didn't need a plasma rifle. She had claws, she had teeth, and she had 3 years of suppressed rage. Chevelle snarled and lunged, trying to fight with bare hands. But Rhea was younger, faster, and fueled by a righteous fire. She sidestepped the matron's strike, swept her legs, and pinned the older Vulpra to the ground in one fluid motion. Do not kill her, Noah ordered. Rhea paused, her claws an inch from Chevelle's throat. Give me one reason why. Because dead martyrs are useful, Noah said. Living prisoners are just sad. He turned back to Denholm. The Admiral was backing away, reaching for a ceremonial sword on the wall, a simple steel blade that wouldn't be affected by the tech ban. I did what I had to do, Denholm shouted, brandishing the sword. The peace was a lie. We needed strength. We needed to dominate. You needed a bonus check, Noah said, walking towards him. He was unarmed. He wore a torn tunic and borrowed boots, but he looked like a giant. Stay back, Denholm swung the sword wildly. Noah didn't flinch. He watched the arc of the blade. He saw the pattern. Denholm was tired, desperate, and untrained in actual melee combat. Noah stepped inside the guard. He caught Denholm's wrist. It wasn't a martial arts move. It was the grip of a man who had spent his life lifting heavy crates. Noah twisted. Snap! Denholm screamed as the sword clattered to the floor. Noah shoved him backward, and the Admiral collapsed into his own command chair. System, Noah said calmly. Broadcast. Broadcasting to all frequencies, the room replied. Holographic screens erupted all over the room, showing the views from every ship in the sector. Thousands of faces, human and Vulpra, staring in confusion as their weapons powered down. People of the Dominion and the Ascendancy, Noah said, looking into the camera. My name is Noah Mercer. You have been told I am a traitor. You have been told to hate each other. He picked up the crystal slate. I am uploading the full unedited logs of Harbor Reach. I am uploading the financial records of Admiral Denholm and War Matron Chevelle. I am uploading the blueprints of the hybrid factory. On the screens, the data streamed. It was undeniable. It was math. And math didn't lie. We have been fighting a war for profit, Noah continued. We burned colonies to balance a ledger. But the audit is over. He looked at Rhea, who was standing over Chevelle, breathing hard. The treaty is active, Noah declared. As the Accord-bound, I hereby dissolve the command authority of the conspirators. All fleets are ordered to return to their borders. Any ship that fires a shot will be designated a rogue element and neutralized by the automated grid. He leaned into the camera. Go home, hug your families, and stop buying what they are selling. He cut the feed. The silence in the room was absolute. It is over, Tala whispered, looking at her frozen datapad. You actually did it. You turned off the war. Noah looked at Denholm, who was sobbing quietly in his chair. He looked at Chauvel, who was staring at the floor in defeat. Then he looked at Rhea. His knees gave out. The adrenaline crash hit him like a freight train. He stumbled, but he didn't hit the ground. Strong arms caught him. Soft fur brushed against his cheek. I got you, Rhea whispered, holding him up. I got you, Noah. I am tired, Noah mumbled into her shoulder. I am so tired of logistics. I know, Rhea said, resting her chin on his head. Sleep now. The sisters are guarding the door. Epilogue. 6 months later. The reconstruction of Harbor Reach was a logistical nightmare, which meant Noah Mercer was in heaven. He stood on the bluff overlooking the colony. The sun was setting, painting the sky in streaks of gold and violet. Below, prefabricated habitats were rising from the ashes. Ships from both the Dominion and the Ascendancy were landing, unloading supplies. Real supplies. Food, medicine, building materials, not weapons. You are staring at the cargo lifters again, a voice teased. Noah turned. Rhea was walking up the path. She looked different. She wasn't wearing combat armor. She wore a ceremonial uniform of the Joint Council, white and gold, crisp and elegant. But she still walked with the predatory grace that made Noah's heart skip a beat. That lifter is stacking the crates inefficiently, Noah pointed out. If they rotated the pallet 90 degrees, they could fit 20% more volume. You should go down there and yell at them, Rhea suggested, handing him a bottle of water. I am retired, Noah smiled, taking the bottle. Technically, I am just the living bridge now. My job is to stand here and look symbolic. You are terrible at being symbolic, Rhea said, stepping closer. You fidget. I do not fidget. I optimize my standing position. Rhea laughed. It was a sound that had become the soundtrack of his life. Behind her, down the path, stood Mira and Tala. They were arguing about a flower Tala had found. Eileen was sitting on a rock nearby, reading a human medical textbook and looking horrified. They won't leave, you know, Noah said, nodding at the sisters. Of course not, Rhea said. They are your personal guard. The treaty stipulates that the Accord-bound must be protected at all times. I think the treaty implies a few guards, Noah said. Not a permanent entourage that raids my fridge and critiques my choice of socks. You need the critique, Rhea said, straightening his collar. You have a terrible fashion sense. She lingered there, her hands on his chest. The playfulness faded from her eyes, replaced by something deeper. We put up the stone today, Rhea said softly. Noah looked towards the center of the town square below. A large monolith of black granite had been erected. It didn't list the names of the dead. It listed the names of the survivors. And at the top, it had two crests carved side by side, the human eagle and the vulpra fox. Do you think they will forgive us? Noah asked. For taking so long to fix it. Forgiveness is a process, Rhea said. But we stopped the fire, Noah. That is enough for now. She looked up at him. The wind ruffled the fur on her ears. You tried to run away yesterday, Rhea said. Noah blinked. What, I went for a walk, to the perimeter. Tala tracked you, Rhea said. She said you stood at the spaceport gate for 10 minutes, watching the outbound transports. Noah sighed. I was just looking. Did you want to go? Rhea asked. Her voice was steady, but her tail gave a tiny, almost imperceptible twitch to the left. Fear. Noah looked at the transports rising into the sky. He thought about the anonymity of space, the quiet of a cargo ship. Then he looked at Rhea. He looked at Tala, who was now trying to eat the flower. He looked at Mira, who was cleaning her gun while watching the sunset. He looked at the woman who had fought a war, defied an empire, and crawled through a garbage chute just to keep him breathing. "I asked you once," Noah said, smiling, "if you sisters were guarding my door because you were afraid I would escape." "And I told you," Rhea replied, her golden eyes softening. "No." "Because I am home," Noah finished for her. He reached out and took her hand. He didn't care who saw. He didn't care about the interspecies taboos or the political optics. "Houses have doors, Rhea," Noah said, "but homes have people waiting for you. I'm not going anywhere." Rhea's tail relaxed. It swayed to the right, a slow, hypnotic rhythm of contentment. "Good," she whispered, leaning her forehead against his. "Because Tala installed a tracking chip in your boots. You wouldn't have made it past the atmosphere." Noah laughed, pulling her close. "I'll bear that in mind." "Noah." "Yeah, kiss me, or I will be forced to report a breach in diplomatic protocol." "We can't have that," Noah said. He kissed her. It wasn't the desperate kiss of two soldiers about to die. It was the slow, steady kiss of two people who had all the time in the world. Above them, the first stars of the evening appeared. They were cold and distant, vast and uncaring. But down here on the bluff, overlooking the town that logistics built, it was warm. And for the first time in his life, Noah Mercer didn't need to count anything. He had everything he needed right here.